All right, thanks for joining us, guys. We are doing a live launch of our new TopQuilt sleeping bag here. We're live. If you're following us on Instagram, go ahead and jump over to YouTube. We're gonna have a little bit better feed there. If you're on YouTube, thanks for joining us. Make sure to leave comments of any questions that you have as we dive through the product, explain what a TopQuilt is, how it works, what's some advantages there, as well as some unique features that our TopQuilt has. The biggest of which would be our new insulation that we're really excited about. Also be aware that as we go through this, we're going to be demoing that insulation. We're going to show you how water resistant it is, how compressible it is. We, to our knowledge, are the first company to actually launch this insulation in the US or possibly anywhere in the world in a sleeping bag type of an insulation. So we're really excited about that. We're also going to be talking about the discount. So we are going to give a discount for those of you that are joining us today. This discount's only going to be active for a short time. So if you're viewing this video later, that discount's not going to be applicable. This is strictly for our OV Tribe members that are following us right now, and we'll be able to give you that discount here at the end of the video. And then, of course, as is customary with any of our new videos, our new products, we do like to give some of those away. So we're going to do a giveaway of this TopQuilt at the end of this video. So make sure to stay tuned there if you want to win. So let's dive right into a TopQuilt. A lot of people don't really know what a TopQuilt is. A TopQuilt is simply a sleeping bag that's not going to have a hood. So there's no hood here. And then on the back side of it, it also has no zipper. So you'll see there's no zipper here. Traditionally, TopQuilts were built to go on hammocks. So typically you would use a TopQuilt inside of a hammock, and then you'd also have an underquilt underneath the hammock to keep your backside warm. But however, as TopQuilts grew in popularity, a lot of people started using them on the ground. This particular TopQuilt is going to be able to be used as both. And what makes it have the ability to do that is it's a little bit wider than a traditional TopQuilt would be that's only used for hammock camping. So that's kind of the quick rundown of what a TopQuilt actually is. Again, you can see right here we've got snaps that are going down. We've got two button closures up here that you would close right around your neck, and then you would have two additional straps right here. You can connect those, or you can use them on our pad straps, which are going to hold them in place on your sleeping pad. So why would we use a TopQuilt? Obviously we've covered the hammock part, but why would you use it on the ground when you can use a regular sleeping bag? The biggest reason that you would want to use it on the ground is weight saving. So you can save a ton of weight by switching to TopQuilt because you're cutting out zipper weight, you're cutting out that extra fabric weight, and then that extra insulation that's being compressed and not used underneath you. See, when you use a TopQuilt, you rely heavily on the insulation or the insulating values, R value of your sleeping pad to keep your backside warm, while all of your insulation up here can stay lofted and keep you warm from the top side down. So those are some of the advantages of the TopQuilt. If you've never seen a TopQuilt, make sure you're asking these questions in the comments, and I can go over and talk to you more about those. So not only are you going to see some weight savings, but you're also going to see a difference in size. So this is a 15-degree TopQuilt. You can see just how compressible that is. And the better part is that's with a synthetic TopQuilt, with this new LoftTek insulation that we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more specifically about our TopQuilt right here. So the biggest feature that I would say is different about our particular TopQuilt is the insulation that we're launching it with. Now we are going to launch this in a down later in this year, but for the time being we're launching it in our LoftTek synthetic insulation. Our LoftTek insulation is a lot different than your standard synthetic. A lot of synthetics are being rolled out, they're coming out in sheets. However, this insulation is a total loose fill, and it's an imitation down. I've spent a lot of years actually looking and watching different imitation downs, and from what I've seen, this is by far the best imitation down out there. So I want to step up to the camera real quick and show you some of these different insulations that I've seen, and then show you our LoftTek insulation. So I actually went out and bought a $200 to $300 jacket cut it open, and got this insulation out of it. So this is a very popular imitation down that's available, a loose fill synthetic. You can see how it's quite clumpy, and they have to sew it into very small baffles to keep it stable. So one that just hit the market just recently from Primaloft actually is this one. You can see how long and stringy that insulation is. I also bought a jacket to test out with this insulation, and it had a lot of really nice properties, but at the end of the day, I still feel like we have quite a few advantages when we jump over to this insulation, our LoftTek insulation. So as you can see with this, it's a lot more down-like. The properties of it, you can see how much more it lofts up, and then obviously how it can compress, and then how less clumpy it is as a synthetic. So it does come out in these little tiny balls that are a lot like a down plume, but they don't clump together like some of these other alternatives that we've seen. So one of the coolest features about this, other than its compressibility and loft, is also its ability to work with water. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of that right now. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and dunk it in this water. As I dunk it in here, it actually doesn't absorb the water very well. It mainly just drips right out of it. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of force this in here and try to get it saturated for a second. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it on this paper towel for the remainder of while I'm talking, and then we'll look at it when we're done. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it here. You can see how it's sticking to me. A lot of that is because a lot of it is still dry. So this particular insulation, if I can get it all off me here, this particular insulation is siliconized at its core. So it's a 2.5 denier insulation as far as the thickness of the insulation. It's been siliconized and it's anti-static, which helps it from clumping up. Excuse me. We have actually sent this in to the IDFL laboratories where they test down products to see what the fill power is of the down products. And this insulation came back at a 525 fill power as a synthetic, which is just mind-blowing that it's over 500 fill power as a synthetic. So if you're not understanding that, let me explain a little bit. The reason why that's so amazing is you get all of the benefits of a synthetic quality insulation as far as moisture, as far as care and maintenance. You know, you can wash it a little bit easier without having down wash to do that. Again, moisture management, if you ever did get your bag soaking wet somehow, it's going to stay lofted and stay warm. So you're getting all the benefits of synthetic. However, it's coming in at the compressibility and weight of a lower quality down. Now, this isn't all the way up to an 800 fill power or a 900 fill power style down, but it is still the best synthetic insulation that we've seen in the world possibly to this point as far as imitation down goes, and we're super excited to bring that out to you guys. So the first product that we've obviously put this insulation into is our TopQuilt right here. We've sewn it into these particular grid baffles to keep it locked into place so that if it ever did get wet, it's going to stay locked in place and still provide that warmth. As far as the bag and some of the specs go, I wanted to share some of those and also share a little bit about why the TopQuilt and the combination of the synthetic makes a big difference. So specs, as far as specs go, this is a 20 denier ripstop polyester that's been coated with our Vital Dry DWR coating. So it's got your Vital Dry coating, but it's a 20 denier ripstop. The internal lining of this is also a 20 denier polyester that is ripstop as well. So you're getting that added protection of the ripstop. As far as sizing goes, a regular is going to be fitting up to a 6-foot person or shorter, coming in at 74 inches long and 54 inches wide. So our TopQuilts are wide so that you can sleep with them on the ground as well as in the hammock. If they're too narrow, then they're a little bit harder to sleep on the ground. You might get cold spots as you're moving around on this pad. However, we've made them 54 wide for the regular, and then for the long, It's 80 inches long by 56 inches wide. So again, it's wide and it's wider and longer for that long wide style. Okay, so let's talk about weights. Actually, before I cover weights, I also did want to address the foot box on these are very large foot boxes, so that you have more space down here in your feet area for more comfort. So right now they're coming in at 13 inches on the regular and 14 inches on the long wide. If you like the larger foot boxes, I would suggest you go ahead and order those now. We might be shrinking that by an inch or so on the next batch of these. Okay, so let's talk about weights. Again, this is a 15-degree TopQuilt, and the weight on this is 24 ounces, and the long wide is 27 ounces. So to give you a little bit of a comparison, most synthetic sleeping bags in a 15 to 20 degree range are going to be about 4 pounds up to 5 pounds. Our OV Light 20, which also has a really, really good synthetic insulation, comes in at 3 pounds 8 ounces. Meanwhile, this is going to come in at that, excuse me, I read those wrong. Meanwhile, this is going to come in at 2 pounds 8 ounces. So scratch those first ounces. I read that, or I wrote those down wrong. 2 pounds 8 ounces for this bag. So that shaves off a whole pound compared to our 20 degrees sleeping bag that is also a very light option. So TopQuilts are typically, from what I've seen, whether it be in down or synthetic, the comparables, you're shaving off nearly 16 ounces to a pound when you do move to that TopQuilt. So they're super, super light. Now, to imagine that you have a 2-pound bag though that is synthetic, that's definitely something new, and it may be one of the lightest, warmest synthetic options that there is out there today. So pretty dang excited about this. You also see its compressibility. It does compress up pretty tight. I actually wanted to test this bag out a little bit more. I slept in some of the prototypes. We changed some of the bafflings, and so I wanted to test this. I slept out. I pitched a tent in the snow last night in my backyard because I did want to test this one more time before we launched it. And I would say, as the model sits right now, and we try to be very, very honest with our degree ratings. Typically, industry standard, you're going to add about 10 degrees to a sleeping bag, but for us, we try to shoot more towards 5 or less. However, I will say with this model, still working out some of these kinks, and we are we're coming in at, I would say, at about 10 degrees for warmth on this model. So it's more like an industry standard rating system. So we have covered all the details I wanted to cover on this TopQuilt. There's still a lot of really cool things. Look for more videos to come on this, but let's go ahead and jump over to questions. So we've got some of our helpers here. Dave, let's go ahead and have him read some of these questions, and we'll get these answered for you.
All right. So the first question is, what colors does the synthetic come in? And then the second question would be, do you know what colors the down would potentially be coming in?
Yeah. So synthetic obviously is going to come in this blue with a gray interior. Looks like that. We are going to be having some 30-degree ones that are going to come in a little bit later. They will be in red. And then for down, we are reversing these colors. So the outside of it will be this gray, and the inside of it will be the blue on the down version of this when it is available later this year. I will say, though, these are highly reversible. So if you really, really don't like the blue or something like that, you could turn this inside out, and it would work just fine.
All right. Will other bags have the same LoftTek insulation soon, or other bags or other products?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is
mummy pods.
So this is kind of our trial run with this particular insulation. So far, we really, really like it. We really value your guys' feedback. So as that comes in as well, that'll give us a lot more confidence to continue to roll this out into new bags later this year. And the mummy pod would definitely be one that's really high on that list to roll it out, if not one of the very, very first ones that we look to do that in.
Will this come with sleeping bag straps?
Sleeping pad straps, yes. The sleeping pad straps come with every model. You get one set of the sleeping pad straps. Typically, I just go ahead and fasten this one up around me. It's big enough that it easily can do that. And then I use these ones to hold it on the pad as I roll around and whatnot at night.
And then another question is, can you repeat the specs? I guess not everybody heard the specs of the two bags.
Yeah, so specs really quick. So as far as weights go, this is 2 pounds 8 ounces for a regular. It's going to be 2 pounds 11 ounces for a long wide. It's 20 denier ripstop polyester shell that's been DWR coated, as well as a 20 denier ripstop poly interior. Foot boxes on these are 13 inches for the regular, 14 inches for the long wide. And as far as sizing goes, we're going to have a 6-foot model that's 74 inches. We're going to have a long wide that's going to be 80 inches. And then respectively, they're going to come in at 54 inches wide and 56 inches wide. So that's the specs over again.
Prices, is that something you want to discuss now? Or you want to
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into pricing. So for being a part of this launch on our email list, we like to favor you guys with a good discount, and that also helps us because we really count on you guys to leave reviews and give us the feedback that we need when we launch a product. So we're going to be doing a launch on Amazon for this particular product, and you're going to be able to see in the description the link to be able to jump over and get that. So we're going to be giving you 35% off on this TopQuilt, which is a huge discount. Typically we go about 20 to 25 on a launch. So we're going to go 35 on the launch of this TopQuilt. And the code for that is going to be capital T, capital Q, capital S, 15, and then all caps off, OFF. And that's all one word, no spaces, no spaces. So again, that's TQS 15 OFF. You should be able to find that in the description of the video.
You might need to clarify. So that'll be in the description right after this video. So.
That link, or excuse me, that coupon code will be in the description of this video right after we go live. We had so many people jumping on earlier, and the discount wasn't active that we had to take that off. But you will see that active right after this video. See that right in the description. So again, that's TQS, all caps, TQS 15 OFF.
And then they'd like to see it in the compression sack up against like something, like another bag, I don't know, anything.
Okay, yeah. Roll of paper towels, we'll go ahead and show you that. So there's a roll of paper towels. There's this uncompressed kind of sitting here. But let me go ahead and show you this. If you compress this at all, or if you bought a compression bag and wanted to really compress it, you're going to be able to get that quite a bit lower. As far as sizing goes, you can kind of see the width there. But there's still a lot of room in this to compress it farther.
Let's see. That's most of that. We got a lot of jacket questions.
Jacket questions?
And will this potentially be in a jacket?
Particular insulation is a prime insulation for jackets. We worked really, really hard to try to get it launched as quickly as possible, but we really missed this winter. So expect to see more of this later this year, when we will likely have this insulation in a jacket, and it's definitely a product that I'm really looking forward to. So,
and then
okay.
Also the down top quilt, when will that be released?
So for down top quilts, most likely we're going to be getting those in May, June. They're going to be a little bit later this year. We kind of had to pick to go with one or the other. We chose to launch this LoftTek first, but we will be getting the down in May, June. If we're really lucky, maybe sooner.
And then one more, does it need to be fluffed or treated like a down bag, stored or?
Yeah, so as far as storage goes, I would typically say store it like a down bag when possible. However, this insulation is going to be a lot more forgiving. It's going to be a lot more likely to bounce back and hold that loft. One thing that I have noticed a little bit is it might have, I mean, it is definitely the top of the line, best synthetic I've seen as far as imitation down. But if it ever does cluster, I found that like when I've washed this in testing, putting it in the dryer actually doesn't help that much. In fact, when you pull it out of the washer off the spin cycle, the thing is almost dry. So putting it in the dryer with some tennis balls and stuff actually doesn't do as much as it does with down. What I typically do is I'll just lean, kind of go across like this, and if I feel any clumps, I just kind of go in there and I just kind of massage that, and it works really well. I usually fold it over so I can do them both sides at the same time, and that really evens this all out. So you can treat it kind of like a down bag, but you're not going to have to use the down washes. You could still use technical washes if you want, but it's a lot less important compared to down bags. So I will say this is a lower maintenance bag that you can store more compressed without as many consequences. So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and jump over to our giveaway. So we are gonna give one of these away. The way that we're gonna do that is you do need to be subscribed to our YouTube channel. You need to be on our email list, and then you need to leave some kind of a comment on this video. So you can say that, hey, I've entered, or you can leave a question or comment on this video, and you'll be entered in to win a 15-degree top quilt in the correct size for you. So make sure you do enter into that giveaway. Okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and close down the live video. We're still gonna stay active and answering any questions that we can. Thanks for joining us. It's always fun to launch these. Before I go though, I do wanna show you this insulation over here that I set aside earlier. So if you can see that, you can see that even when it was wet, it was still lofted, which is the biggest thing, right? When down gets wet, it does collapse. It is kind of hard to get down wet. It does have some really good properties, as well as if it's vital dry, or excuse me, storm loft down like ours that's been DWR treated. But you can see just how light and fluffy this is still. The water has all drained out of that, and that's mainly due to the siliconizing of the fibers. Obviously the siliconizing of those fibers is going to make the water drain right out of it, and then it stays just as lofted. So just really neat stuff. We'll see if it'll kind of work like down. So you can see when you blow it there, just blows right out just like down. So it's just a really amazing synthetic. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, jump over to Amazon via our link below that we're going to activate the coupon. We're going to dump the coupon code in there for those of you that see this later or aren't sure what it is, but it's capital TQS 15 off, OFF, all caps, everything, one word. So jump over there, get your 35% off. Thanks for joining me, guys, and we'll catch you on the next live stream.